We're going to go to, and stand by for us if you could, Joe, Thane Rosenbaum with us now as we continue in this recess here. So it's so well produced, right? I mean, they obviously had ABC doing this. They're going to give 10 minutes so that all of the CNN, MSNBC people and all the mainstream press can sit there and just, pour over that video, and then they're going to come back on. It's very well produced.
Well, Rob, also part of that production, you'll notice it ended with that quote from the president where he said there was a lot of love in the air. And he was clearly referring to the ellipse. He was clearly not, it was a very manipulative video. He wasn't referring to the people that breached the Capitol building. Right. He was referring to the people that, far more people, I don't remember the exact number, but far greater numbers of people came is an act of public assembly to question the election results, which they're allowed to do under the First Amendment Assembly Clause. They're allowed to do this under the Constitution. So I don't think the president was referring to the breach of the Capitol. He was referring to the people that watched him speak. Also, the quote that you had with Professor Dershowitz, notice that's not in the video, right? The video, what they have the president say in the video is, fight like hell, take your country back. But the most exonerating piece of his statement at the ellipse, the part that you and Professor Dershowitz were talking about, it's not in there. Yeah. So again, it's very slickly produced. Peacefully. And that's where you're seeing the Hollywood style to this. Yeah. It was clearly a manipulative production.
Yeah. It was some of the final words from Trump. You know, peacefully, patriotically, march to the Capitol peacefully and patriotically and make our voices heard. And other people came to that event that day, and they had something else in mind, and they pushed their way in. And they created quite a scene. Now it should be, again, we need to remind you, none of these people for some reason were armed, but nevertheless, they picked some fights, they pushed their way through the barricades, they hurt some cops, and one of them got shot to death. One unarmed woman was shot to death. Have they scored any big points yet? I mean, what we have to remember here, for our viewers here on Newsmax, we don't obsess over January 6th every single day. We're focused on the disaster that is the country in its current state. So over at CNN, MSNBC, the bulk of the people that are watching this are liberals that are just loving this. They've seen all of this 10 billion times for the past year and a half, because that's all CNN and MSNBC do. So while some of this might be actually novel to our viewers in some ways, because we don't obsess over January 6th, remember, for Democrats in this country, this is all really, really, really old news. Have they scored any new points tonight that you can tell?
I think this is, maybe it's new video, but it's simply a recitation and a rehashing of the events that we actually know. Yeah. If you're going to go prime time, showtime, Rob, if you're going to do that, then you've got to have a big reveal. And what's the big reveal here? I don't know. I would think that they should have said right up front, we are going to link directly a criminal conspiracy between the president, the Oval Office, and his staff, and the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers. Nobody's justifying, certainly not on Newsmax. You aren't, I am not. I'm appalled by what happened at the Capitol. But it seems to me that since this investigation is purportedly for a legislative purpose, right, as opposed to a political purpose, what is the legislative purpose? Unless they can find a direct causal link between the words of the president, the actions of the president, in which he engaged in a criminal conspiracy with him and his staff, and the people who directly breached the Capitol, I'm not sure what they're even accusing the White House or the president of. Gross negligence? I don't see a criminal conspiracy yet. There's no direct link. They're just saying that he questioned the election and he refused to give up on his feeling that it had been stolen. Yeah. That seems to be the biggest charge against him, but how is that connected to the breaching of the Capitol? Yeah. I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, no, and nobody, I don't think anybody is absolving some of the behavior after the election, what we saw that day. We are not here to absolve any of that. What we're here to do is to bring some daylight into this most ridiculous partisan hearing and to point out that you have a political party that's in power in this country that is doing such an atrocious job that all they have to do is hold on to Donald Trump for dear life, because that's all they got. They can't point to one single solitary way that they've made the country better or the people in this country are thriving more since they've been in power. They can't do that. So it's the boogeyman. Donald Trump is the best boogeyman they ever had. They cannot let this go. And that's just how pitiful the party is. And so you have to have a display like this at 8 o'clock at night, produced by an ABC producer, and all of this nonsense. Thank you so much. Stand by for us. We're going